Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and waterways on which we are recording today, the Wurundjeri, Wairarong and Bunurong people of the Eastern and Greater Kulin Nation. We pay our deepest respect to their elders, past and present, and we extend that respect to all First Peoples listening today. And we also honour their sovereignty was never ceded to begin with. We acknowledge their enduring and unbroken connection, as well as their contributions, their storytelling, their continued fight, deep understanding, commitment, and continued care for country, lands, waterways, sky, culture, and communities. We stand with them in their ongoing calls for truth-telling, treaty, sovereignty, justice, land rights, and reconciliation. This was, and always will be, Aboriginal land. Stain, scandal, signals, all right here on the corner of Swanston and Franklin Streets in the CBD. Long before the gym selfies and laneway lattes, Melbournians came here to scrub, soap, as well as socialise. Curious little that once controlled the trams that kept the city moving. The heartbeat of the metropolis that never quite stopped to towel off. Before we jump in to today's episode, please smash that like, comment, share, and subscribe right here on YouTube. And if you haven't already, please follow Down the Yarra on Podbean and across all our socials for more stories that scrub clean Naarm-Melbourne and South Central Victoria's messy, marvellous past. Right, in saying all that, before we begin, quick heads up. Today's episode includes references of historical hygiene laws, disease outbreaks, and class divisions that were very much real in 19th and 20th century Naarm-Melbourne. So, in saying all that, if this is not the right time for you, I completely understand your well-being comes first, as always. So please, either skip, pause, or choose from one or go with one of our lighter episodes. Hey, as always, your well-being comes first. But if you do choose to go with this episode, as always, please remember to listen and watch with care. Welcome to Down the Yarra, the podcast that takes you on a deep dive into the heart and soul of Naarm-Melbourne and South Central Victoria. Whether you're a local or just curious, this podcast is for you. Hey, I'm your host, Andy. Today, we're taking you on a deep dive into the historic Melbourne City Baths and the old tram control tower just opposite it. If you walk past the famous historic Melbourne City Baths, the grand Romanesque-revival building with strips of cream, white and red brick, one of the oldest public health projects still standing in full swing today. Built in 1904, the city baths were a civic statement, away from a growing city to literally and symbolistically clean itself. At the time, not every house had clean running water or proper plumbing. Many residents, especially those living in the inner northern suburbs and working class pockets of Carlton, Fitzroy and Collingwood, aka Newtown, had to rely on public wash houses and baths like this to stay hygienically clean and avoid epidemics which spread rapidly throughout the city. The first version of the city baths actually dates back to the 1850s, not long after the gold rush transformed Naarm-Melbourne into the London of the South. The original site was more functional than fashionable. A simple public bathhouse and pool complex that doubled as a moral lesson. Clean body, clean soul. But by the early 1900s, the city decided to upgrade the building, building the structure we see today, complete with Turkish baths, plunge pools, and gender segregated areas, designed by architect J.J. Clark. Who is that, you might say? Well, he designed the old Treasury building, as well as parts of the Royal Melbourne Hospital. Helped define its definitive look. Red and white cream bricks, archways, and a facade that wouldn't look out of place in places in cities like Florence or Rome. Yet, go inside the bars. The bars offered not just cleanliness but also recreation. By the 1920s, it was the centre of local swimming competitions, women's fitness, and even military training during both World Wars. The pools were unheated back then, meaning midweek winter dip was much about bravery as it was hygiene. But yet, just head out the doors, the main door, on the opposite side, just tucked beside the modern tram stop, stands a rather curious relic. The old tram control tower, a small elevated structure that once commanded tangled web of Naarm-Melbourne's tramways in the city. Built in the mid-20th century, this tower was a nerve centre for routing trams through the city's busiest intersections, a time before digital tracking, when everything ran on manual switches and sharp eyes. Authority inside the tower controlled signals, monitored lines, movements, and communicated with the drivers via phone or radio. From up there, they could see the entire rhythm of Swanston Street. Students rushing to RMIT, workers pouring into the Queen Vic, and the tram, and the clang of the tram bells, and hiss of the brakes. The city bath, steam mixed with electric hum of cables and sparks. The old school Melbourne energy at its finest. For decades, it was the symbol of civic coordination, if you like, an invisible order behind apparent chaos of the inner city movement. And even as or automated systems took over, the little tower stayed put, quietly reminding passers-by of the city's mechanical heartbeat. But what's remarkable about this corner of Naarm-Melbourne is that the site of the two sides. It's the same body, but of two sides of the same story. Public health and public transport, the body and the network. The city baths kept citizens healthy and dignified. The tram tower kept them connected. Together, they represent Naarm-Melbourne's early 20th century obsession with order, cleanliness, and progress. Belief that the right infrastructure could make better citizens. The buildings also tell the stories of gender, class and inclusion. The bus had separate entrances for men and women. Tram networks once mirrored those divides in access and affordability, and yet, over time, both became spaces of inequality, open, public, and proudly communal. Today, while there remains an active fitness and swim centre, Tram Tower stands as a quirky urban structure, often photographed, rarely explained, but yet still quietly iconic. Well, while we're on the subject, here are some fun facts and hidden details about both of these structures. The city baths once homed Melbourne's earliest synchronised swimming troupe in the 1930s. During the post-war years, immigrants from across Europe not only swam here but socialised and met. It was literally a melting pot in chlorinated water. Tower was featured briefly in Julian O'Shea's fantastic YouTube dive on Melbourne, topic that we've covered previously, and the other oddities, urban oddities. Definitely worth checking out for extra context. And despite its age, the bath's core temperature today still stands at a crisp 27 degrees Celsius, perfect compromise between refreshing and freezing. The old-timers will say, late at night, when the pool lights flicker, you can still hear the echoes of bathers chatting from the 1920s dressing room, or fans calling from across the street. The intersection has Ghost of Progress, each of them a reminder that Naarm-Melbourne was built not just in gold and grit and in daily ritual of ordinary people trying to live better, cleaner, and let's not forget fairer lives. Right, next time on Down the Yarra, we're heading just over the road to one of the most politically charged, history-soaked sites in the entire city. I'm, of course, referring to Carlton's Trades Hall. We'll dive into the 1915 heist and shooting, the monumental 8-hour day monument on the corner of Vic and Exhibition Street, close to the old Melbourne Jail, which we've covered previously, and Emily Mack Institute on the city side. And just opposite the Trades Hall is the John Curtin, or the Curtin Hotel, where union legends, punk bands, and local police have raised glasses here. So, if you would, please do hit the like button, ring the notification bell, and stay tuned for our next story in the ever-unfolding tales of Naarm-Melbourne and South Central Victoria's radical heart. Thanks for joining me on this dip into Naarm-Melbourne's city bus and the tram tower opposite. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe right here on YouTube. Honestly, it really helps us out telling these stories. And for more deep dives into the wild, weird, wonderful, and watery past of Naarm-Melbourne and South Central Vic, please remember to follow Down the Yarra on Podbean and across all our socials. Till next time, I'm your host, as always, Andy, reminding you to stay curious, stay kind, and keep your stories flowing down the Yarra.